Good morning, welcome to day 110 of my Munros challenge. Today I'm walking route number 81, the Grey Corries and Stob Ban. So here we go, we've got Stob Ban, the White Peak. We've got Stob Choire Claurigh, which is the peak of the corrie of the brawling. We've got Stob Coire and Laoigh, which is the peak of the corrie of the calf. And we've got Stob Moor, which is the peak of the moss. Lots of midge around today, so we're going to get on with it. Really mixed weather, no idea what's going to happen. So Stan's taken exception to this statue. He's been barking his head off at it. He's not very happy with it. So after a very rocky road that I drove along, you start the day by following this forest track through the forest. So we've left the forest and I can see this track weaving up the glen. You can see it ahead, and I think we'll stick on it for quite a while. If nothing else, it makes navigation easy. It looks like this cloud might start clearing. Let's hope so. So there we go, there's Stob Ban. Been on this track an awful long time. So this little bothy here is pretty much where we're going to turn right. That's this stream. You can see a path there heading up. That's us. So let's get on with it. This path follows the burn. It's very, very squelchy. I've been up to my ankles a couple of times in mud. So I'm heading up to the low point over there. I'm going to hang a left and make our way to the summit. So there looks to be like a grass gully shooting up over there to the right, and I suspect that's the way I'm going to make my way up to the low point on the ridge before I hang a left and make my way up to the summit. That's the grassy gully, if you like, that I've come up. We're almost at the top now of this this chute, and we'll be hanging a left. Looks very steep. Just looking across at the Grey Corries. Hopefully that cloud will lift by the time we get there. Yes, I can confirm it's very, very, very steep. See why they call it the White Mountain. Here we are at Stob Ban. The cloud just held off for me. That was really, really, really steep. So really mixed forecast today. Dropping down this extremely steep scree, and you can see the edge of the ridge that we're going to go over next, up into the cloud over there. So here we go, start of the next ascent. There's a definite path actually, steeply climbing up this grassy bankside. So making navigation fairly easy so far. So there's Stob Ban in all its glory. I'd say the Lochan down there was probably the bottom of the Belak. Now I'm heading up here. The clouds momentarily gone, giving us a bit of a view. So as we approach the upper slopes, it's getting very rocky. Path has become extremely faint, if at all there. So here we are, Stob Choire Claurigh, the high point of the day, 1,177 metres. Fantastic views. I have to say that was very very rocky, that last section. So we're just dropping off the top and we're following the ridge line round now. It's a top over to contend with, which isn't a Munros, before we get to the next Munros. Just get the impression I'm missing out on some fabulous views here on this ridge walk. So that's the first one of the tops. There's a few of them, I think. I think there's another couple before we actually get to the next Munro, or a couple of named parts of the ridge, should I say. Wow, Stob Ban just coming in and out of view. Haha. Definitely trying to clear. Definitely. This is another one of the named tops along the ridge. Now I think the Munro is just beyond over there. What do you reckon, Stan? Yet another named top. This one's Castile. It's 1,109 metres. It's 1 metre lower than the Munro, which is just over there in the cloud. Just looking how rough this ridge has been. Very difficult underfoot. Well, here we are, Stob Choire Way. Nothing to see, I'm afraid. What do you reckon, Stan? Drop down here, down to this little beelac, up to the top, you can see over there, which isn't a Munro, and then we hang a left, drop down to a different beelac before we make the ascent of the final Munro. That's the plan. Now I do believe we're heading that way home. Go, that's the non-top, as it were, over there. I think that's 1080. And we're going to drop down to that beelac right down there before we make our way up to the top of the last Munro, which is just hidden in the clouds over there. That's a great shot of the grey corries. You can see why they call them grey, can't you? There's Stan waiting for me as usual, thinking, what are you doing down there? So this is the other top that I've looked at earlier. So we're going to drop down to that beelac, up to the Munro, retrace our steps, back to here. We're going to hang a left. I'm going to start dropping down back to the van. So one last effort, up and down. Wow, the top of the last Munro's just coming into view. I have to say, this is as tough a boulder field as I've ever been on. It's absolutely ridiculously difficult. I'm trying to follow what looks like a bit of a path, which isn't. Skirting round the side. I think it's trying to make life easier for itself. Well, that's just made life a lot easier. Not. That was ridiculously difficult getting down there, and just about at the beelac now before we make the ascent of the last one. But we've got to reascend that boulder field. So we're climbing up this side now. Yes, and it's steep. So I think the top is just beyond the rise you can see there. There we go, there's the top over there. I thought it was just beyond this one. So here we are, Skirhonic Moor. And look, the clouds have cleared. We've got a view. Wow, so over there, that's Stob Choire Way, and way in the background we've got Stob Choire Claurigh, and then this tiny one in the middle is Stob Ban. So in the distance over there, that's what we did the other day. So that'll be, oh, is it Stob Choire and Stob Choire, I believe. Wow. We've got that to climb up yet on our way back. Oh, I'm going straight back up the nose of this one. I'm not messing around like we did coming down. Do you know what? This is so much easier than the way I went down. It was ridiculous the way I went down. There you go, you make mistakes. So we can see the last 3 Munros. We can't see Stob Ban because it's hidden. But now the cloud's gone. Wow, what a difference it makes. Look at the grey corries now. So quite a grassy bank that I'm cutting across. I made my mind up about tomorrow yet, but it may very well be that I'm over there tomorrow. You never know. Just looking back up the grassy slopes I've come down, this Land Rover track took me straight to this gate, so hopefully we're on track and we're on target. Nip through this forest and find the road that my van's on. Probably another couple of miles still though. This forest track cutting is very, very boggy. Very boggy. There we go, we got onto a forest track, but better underfoot. Hi, welcome to day 110 of my Munros challenge. Today I walked route number 81, Friday the 1st of July. I parked at the end of a dirt lane a few miles out of Speen Bridge. I'm saying dirt, it was very long, potholey, like a forest track lane that you're allowed to take your car up to a certain point. Following the long potholey drive, it followed on from that with a long walk out really on the same tracked road all the way to the bothy, at which point you turn right and you start the ascent of Stob Ban, which begins on quite a boggy path following the burn, and eventually you follow a grass chute up to the Lochan and the start of a very, very steep scree climb. Fabulous climb, fabulous little mountain actually, absolutely awesome. Very nice shape to the mountain, absolutely blown away by it, and it's dwarfed by the others actually around it. Fabulous little mountain though. Anyway, you drop back to the Lochan down the steep scree, and there's a faint path following the ridge, meandering all the way up the other side towards Stob Choire Claurigh. And it is a faint path, but it does disappear when you get towards the top, and it becomes very, very rocky, so you're having to basically weave your way in and out of the rocks and make your way best way you can to the top of Stob Choire Claurigh. This is the high point of the day as well. Unfortunately, I'm in cloud, so I really didn't get to see anything. But this is the start of a very, very, very long, rugged ridge walk. There's several tops, several ups and downs. Now I'd done the first 2 Munros from the van in a lot faster time than it took me to do the second 2 Munros from this point and back to the van. Now you'd have thought that that'd have been the other way around, because obviously there's a lot of descent, but no, the ridge walk, it takes quite a lot of time. It's quite tiring and difficult underfoot. Eventually you get to Stob Coire Way, and you think, hey, at last, but you're immediately faced with another top to descend to, and it's a difficult descent. It's very rocky again, and you got to climb back up to 1080, and where there's a big cairn. Now this cairn marks the start of the descent as well for later. Now this is the point where I actually went wrong. I followed the footpath pretty much straight across past the cairn and started the descent down a very, very rocky, bouldery, difficult path. Now I'd gone down quite some way before I actually realised that it was probably taking me too far right down the mountain. So then I spent quite some time with Stan traversing back around to the other side, where I should have been, and it's very dangerous, very tricky, and it's quite steep and craggy in places. So I had to have my wits about me. So you need to be careful on that descent, not to take the obvious path which I took. Now Skirhonic Moor itself is quite a shapely mountain as well. It's quite steep, and from there I could get the view of the whole day because the weather had cleared. It was absolutely fabulous. So retraced my steps back, but instead of the obvious mistake I'd made earlier when I dropped off of the the top at 1080, this time I went straight up the nose of the steep side, and actually it wasn't that bad at all. It looked far worse than it appeared. So then you got the long grassy descent. I picked up a sheep trod and then a quad bike track, and it took me all the way down to the gate at the edge of the forest. And once you're in the forest, you're not done there, because there's still a long way home, and there's quite a few lefts and rights until you get they eventually get the track which takes you back to where you park your car. So my day was 16.5 miles, and there was 5,858 feet, and it took me 10.5 hours.